Hello, I'm your host for this episode, TC Gaming, and in today's documentary we will dive into the context and history of the current two Silesian-Zaporoslavian wars. For some context, Reupload was the king of Zakopane, a small kingdom in the Galician region of Poland, and was previously a member of the West Slavic Confederation, also known as Zaporoslavia, a country that spanned Slovakia, Czechia, and parts of Poland, until tension forced him to secede from the Confederation. However, this tension was quickly resolved, with the West Slavic Confederation and Zakopane becoming close allies. King Reupload was also the Pope of the Catholic Church. Before we dive into this story, I want to give a massive shout out to Reupload for sourcing a lot of this information to me and for editing this video. He put a lot of effort into recounting these events and compiling them for me to use as parts of my research. So again, thank you. Chapter 1. The Silesian Crisis. King Reupload invited Nesbo to become the Prime Minister of Zakopane. Nesbo accepted and immediately got to work constructing multiple buildings across the kingdom, such as the main gate, the fountain at the spawn, and the Krakow church. On May 2nd, 2024, King Reupload gave Nesbo a small part of the Zakopane town called... How the fuck am I... Okay. But I'm gonna have to run this through. Translate. What language even is that, bro? Is that Polish? If I run it through a Slavic language, that'll do. I'll run it through Polish. There you go, I'll run it through Polish.
Bialsko-Biała.
Are you... Bialsko-Biała. I'm not even gonna pronounce that. I'm not. Okay. On May 2nd, 2024, King Reupload gave Nesbo a small part of the Zakopane town. He would go on to purchase land from Janeko, king of Gramenia, another kingdom within Poland, expanding his territory. Since his first day as Prime Minister, Nesbo has been calling for war against the West Slavic Confederation, deeming them inactive and stupid. Nesbo went to King Reupload and demanded that the kingdom end its alliance with the Confederation and declare war immediately. The king refused this demand. The next day, 21st July 2024, Nesbo seceded from the kingdom of Zakopane and joined the Seljuk Rum Sultanate led by Baklava. Rum and Zakopane were in an alliance at the time, which Nesbo helped negotiate himself. Nesbo claimed a hill on the border, stating that he wanted to build a castle there. More back and forth arguing and debating about the legitimacy of the claim took place until Nesbo made an outright threat of war. The West Slavic Confederation and Zakopane alliance wasn't deterred by this and stood strong. King Reupload of Zakopane, as well as the leader of the West Slavic Confederation and other foreign volunteers, began digging trenches along their borders with Silesia. They also built a wall and other various buildings which still stand to this day. On the 25th of July, Nesbo officially formed the Kingdom of Silesia. However, he eventually accepted defeat in the conflict and apologised. After this conflict, Nesbo quickly dissolved the kingdom and joined a nation by the name of Union, one of the strongest countries at the time. Chapter 2. The First War. Exactly 1 month later, on the 25th of August, Nesbo returned to Zakopane without receiving any government positions. He was generally mistrusted during his stay, however no problems would arise. On the 6th of October, Nesbo would secede again and form the Kingdom of Silesia. Nesbo would eventually be banned from the server, however was unbanned 2 days later. After learning King Reupload reported him, and was the reason he was banned, Nesbo was furious, and he officially declared war on the Zakopane West Slavic Confederation alliance. However, Zakopane and the Angevin Empire, another European power, were in an unofficial alliance, so Angevin declared war on Silesia. Silesia won the war against Zakopane, but Nesbo pardoned them and released them. However, the war with Angevin was still ongoing, which Angevin promptly was victorious in. However, they only plundered Silesia as opposed to fully occupying them. Chapter 3. Slavic-Silesian Mini-War. In between the First and Second West Slavic Confederation Silesian Wars, the Slavic Empire declared war on Silesia due to Silesia trying to steal territory from them, aka poaching. The war was short, with the Slavic Empire making swift work of Silesia and occupying the capital. The war was ended with a treaty that basically stated that Silesia was free to do as they wished, but if they caused too much trouble in the region, the Slavic Empire would redeclare war. Chapter 4. The Second War. On the 31st of October, a new Zaposlavian settlement was created which angered Nesbo, as he planned on expanding into that region. The West Slavic Confederation offered multiple times to sit down and create a formal border agreement. However, after multiple tries, Nesbo only verbally agreed to one. The next day the pact was broken by Silesia, claiming into the West Slavic Confederation portion of the agreement. This forced the West Slavic Confederation to quickly rush to claim as much land they agreed to claim as possible. To try and stop an eruption of a second war, they decided to sit down and formally agree to something. They finally reached the verdict that everyone should keep what they already have, and then the currently unclaimed territory would be claimed via the previous deal. On the 7th of November 2024, the two kingdoms of Zakopane and Romania, both important allies to the West Slavic Confederation, merged into Karulia. By this point, Silesia was a very powerful nation on the European stage, spanning all parts of the continent. On the 25th of January 2025, Nesbo would declare one final war on the West Slavic Confederation before he would resign as king. This resignation didn't last long. By default, Karulia was called into this war, and also the Holy Germanic Empire, another big European nation, decided to join on the side of the West Slavic Confederation as well. However, Nesbo forced the Roman Empire, seen at the time as one of the strongest nations in the world, to join their side. Also, the Athenian Empire in Greece decided to join the Silesian side as well. The Silesian coalition would begin a three-pronged attack, the Greek forces striking at Zakopane, the Roman forces at Czechia, and the Silesian forces at the capital in Slovakia. The West Slavic Confederation's coalition would successfully beat back the Greek and Roman advances, a massive achievement, but would lose their capital to Silesia, resulting in an overall Silesian victory. However, this war would outline Rome's military flaws and would result in a tank in international prestige. I will be making my next documentary on Rome. After the Silesian victory, Nesbo would formally resign, and the new Emperor Gundersons would be instructed to release Slovakia back to the West Slavic Confederation. After the Second Zaposlavian-Silesian War, Karulia would go on to merge into the West Slavic Confederation. Silesia and all its holdings would then end up merging into the Angevin Empire. However, another conflict would arise from after the war, which is still ongoing, so another video will be made on that once it has concluded. Thank you so much for watching this episode of RC History. Special thanks to Reupload for editing the video. See you in the next one.